It's Big Money D, assets only, no liabilities.
When you're looking for a property, before you go out and you actually make an offer and buy a rental property, the first thing you want to do is look at a bunch of different properties. You got to look at least 10 properties before you make an offer on one, because if you're just starting off, you're not going to know what a good location is or what a good property is or what a bad one is. And so you want to just start walking through homes and start walking through neighborhoods. One of the easiest things that you can do to determine if a property is in a good location or a bad location is just walk the neighborhood, walk through the streets. Is there something nice? Are the homes boarded up? Are they burned down? Or is it nice? Are your neighbors taking care of the landscaping? Is there money coming into the area, or is the money in businesses moving out? There are three big things that you want to look at when it comes to finding a good neighborhood or a good city to invest your money in: crime, the flow of money, and the city laws. There are a bunch of tools on the internet that you can look at to see what the crime is in the neighborhood that you're looking to buy in. If you see that the crime is increasing, that's not a good sign, because when you buy a property, this is something you're owning for the long term, right? When you're investing in real estate, this isn't a 6-month play or a 1-year play. You're investing in real estate for a long time because you're going to own this property and you want this to pay you rent for years into the future. And if you're buying a property in an area on the verge of a downturn, then your investment is going to be more of a headache than it is a cash cow. When you're looking at the flow of money, what you want to pay attention to is, are businesses coming into this area, this neighborhood, and the city where you're investing, or is money flowing out? The easiest way you can determine this is just by going to your city hall and asking them what new developments are coming in and what new building plans do they have for that area. If they don't have much, or if you see that this building development is going kind of somewhere away from where your property is, that's not a good sign. This one is huge. I was in contract to buy a home and I went to the city and they told me that there was this vacant plot of land that was nearby the home that I was buying, and Walmart was coming in and they had plans to develop a Walmart supercenter. That was good news for me, because that told me that money was flowing here. If Walmart was willing to open up a store less than a mile from my property, that means there's going to be more jobs coming. That means there's going to be more retail stores coming, because anytime you see a Walmart supercenter pop up, that means you're going to have more stores pop up in front of it and on the side of it, because Walmart drives a lot of traffic. So if there's a lot of money coming in that area, that means property values are probably going to go up. Rental values are probably going to go up, because there's going to be more demand for that area, because there's more jobs and more businesses coming. So is the money flowing to the area or out? Because if the money's flowing in, then you can buy this property today and you can expect rent prices to hopefully continue to go up, because now there's more money and jobs coming into that area. And then you want to take a look at the individual city laws itself, because what you're going to see happen is some cities are more tenant friendly and some cities are more landlord friendly. A tenant friendly city is going to make it very hard for you as a real estate investor or a landlord to kick out a tenant that's not taking care of a property or that's not paying you rent. And so you want to pay attention to that, because if you are investing your money, you want to be in a city that is more landlord friendly, ideally, because if somebody is not paying you rent, you want to have the ability to kick them out without facing a whole bunch of roadblocks and a bunch of hurdles. Another thing you want to pay attention to when it comes to city laws is how strict is the city when it comes to city inspections. Now, there are certain cities that I just avoid buying in because they have these super strict standards, and they will fine you up the you know what if you have grass that grows 2 inches, or they're going to charge you a $200 permit fee if you got to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. I've already dealt with the headache and I don't want to deal with that anymore. So when I invest in properties, I'm looking at what the city laws are, and the best way you can figure this out is just by talking to real estate investors or real estate agents in your area that are familiar with investment properties. And so if you're looking at properties, talk to a real estate agent, because they can help you find some. And if they're actually familiar with real estate investing, they should understand how these city laws work, so they can guide you and help you find areas where you won't have to deal with all the headaches. When you're investing in real estate, you have to be thinking for the next 10 years, because you cannot move the property's location. I mean, if a home is beautiful, that's nice, but if it's in a really bad location, the niceness of the home doesn't make up for the bad location. One of my real estate teachers used to tell me, find the worst home in the best neighborhood, because the neighborhood is going to help drive up the home value and the demand for the property. If it's a good home in a bad area, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a really hard time making a profit on it. But if you have a bad home in a good area, now you can be sitting on a gold mine, because you can renovate the property and you'll still have demand for people wanting to live in this home because it's in a good location. Sometimes that means you'd be better off paying a little bit more for a home on one side of a street than another side of a street. Like, I was looking at buying a home in a city where they had a highway cutting right through the middle of the city. But on one side of the city, these homes were about 20% more than on this side of the city. But what I saw by talking to the city hall was that there was a lot of new developments coming on this side of the highway, and there was a lot of businesses moving out of this side of the highway. So it's the same city, and we're talking about just on one side of the road. But I decided to buy here, even though this cost me 20% more, because I saw that there was money flowing in this area. Over the next 5 years, rental prices here went from about $850 a month to $1,200 to $1,300 a month, while rental prices here dropped just because everybody wanted to be on this side of the road, not this side of the road. So you got to understand why your location is so important, because it's going to play a factor into how much money you make over the long term. Once you narrow down what cities and neighborhoods you want to invest in and you start looking at properties, that's when you got to understand, when do the numbers make sense? How do you analyze the finances of a property? I'm going to get to actually how you get the cash a little bit later in this video, but let's talk about understanding the numbers first. I like to be conservative when I do my financials, because I have no problem if I run my numbers and then I make more money than I thought I was going to make, but I'll be a little bit more disappointed if I make less money than I thought I was going to make. So I like to do my numbers accordingly. So the way I look at it is, first I take my rental income, whatever money I think I'm going to make, and if you're working with a real estate agent, they can help you figure out what your projected rent will be. And then you want to subtract your property taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, because you're going to have maintenance if you own a property, then your management costs because you want this to be passive, and then your vacancy, because your property is probably not going to be leased out every single month. You subtract these from this, and then you're going to have your net income. So let's run through an example. If you wanted to buy this property that was $150,000, what would the numbers look like? So if I bought this property for $150,000, I should be able to rent it out for something like $1,400. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more depending on where you live, but let's assume $1,400. So taxes, property taxes, I like to estimate around 2% of the property price. So if we're looking at $150,000, that's $3,000 of property taxes a year, and that is right around $250 a month for property taxes. Then insurance, or a $150,000 property, something around $100 a month in your property insurance, landlord insurance. Then for maintenance, I like to be conservative and I like to estimate 10% of my gross rental income. Hopefully my maintenance is going to be way less than that, especially if I buy a property and I renovate it. After I get the property renovated, hopefully my maintenance is going to be close to nothing, but I want to be conservative. So if I do 10% of that, that's $140 a month in maintenance. Management fees, I like to estimate 10% for management fees. Now I pay way less than that because I have a number of properties, and so I worked out a deal with my management company. I'm paying close to 5% in management fees. But if you're just starting off, you might be paying that 7 to 10% range. So if you want to be conservative, that's another $140 in management fees. And then vacancy, I like to estimate 1 month of rent a year in vacancy, because your property might not be tenanted all 12 months of the year. Somebody might move out, and so you're going to have a period of time where you're going to be leasing the property out and not making any money. So if I'm not making 1 month of rent out of the year, that means that's another $116 or so that I'm not getting. So if I add these all up, I got my calculator right here, that leaves me with a net income of $654. Let me get my black marker. So $654 a month is what I'm making off of this property. Now this is assuming you bought this property with cash. I'm gonna go over what happens if you bought this property with a loan in just a second, but you're making $654 a month, which is $7,848 a year, and you paid $150,000 cash to buy this home, which means you are getting right around a 5% cash on cash return a year. Now, personally, this is a little bit lower than what I'm looking for, but this gives you an idea of how to run the numbers. When I look at a property, I'm looking for a minimum 7% return on my money, assuming I buy the property cash. Ideally 8%, but a minimum 7%. So maybe I'll have to get a better rent. Maybe I'll have to pay less money in management fees, which I'm already doing. Maybe I'll have to see if I can get a better deal on my insurance. Essentially, I gotta have more money every single month in order to make this deal worthwhile. But what happens if you bought this property with a loan? If you use debt, then you might be putting down 20% of the home value, $150,000. So you have to put down $30,000 cash, and then the bank is going to give you $120,000. So now you have the $654 a month that you have in profit, but you also got to pay your bank. And if you are borrowing $120,000, you might be paying your bank something like $560 a month, which leaves you with just under $100 a month every single month in profit. I think it's about $94 a month in profit, and this will bring your total return down on your $30,000 cash investment to right around 4%. So not the best return, but again, we're being pretty conservative here. You should be able to get a little bit better rent here. You shouldn't be paying this much of maintenance. So you can probably bump these numbers up in reality a couple percent, but I'm just trying to show you how the numbers work. So anytime you walk through a deal, these are the numbers you want to be looking at, and you want to make sure you do this analysis for yourself, because sometimes you're going to see sellers agents create their own
I'm not gonna lie. This might be my favorite video he ever made. Well, that I ever watched.
formas to show you that you're getting this amazing return on this property that you're looking at, but they might not include vacancy, they might not include management, and they might really lowball this maintenance cost. And so
He just gave y'all the blueprint on how to rent out a house and get money on it. He just gave us the blueprint on that.
all they're really showing you is your rent minus your property taxes minus your insurance, and they're ignoring this half. And so you want to make sure you're doing this pro forma yourself, that way you can get kind of a real idea of what the numbers will look like in your bank account, not just what they look like on an Excel sheet. The last thing I want to mention about the finances is this return that I'm showing you is just the return you're getting every single year on the cash that you have to invest today. This did not include property appreciation, home prices going up or real estate prices going up. That's just the icing on the cake. When you buy real estate, you want to make sure that this number makes sense for you. If this number makes sense for you and then real estate prices go up, that's even better. If real estate prices come down, oh well, at least you're still making your rental profits here. But the reason why your location matters so much is because now what you're going to see happen over the years is this top line rental number is going to go up, while at the same time your expenses aren't going to change too much. Yeah, they'll go up a little bit, but they're not going to go up as fast as the rent, as long as you're in a good location. So what you're going to see happen over the years is the return that you're getting on your cash is going to increase every single year that you own the property, because you're going to see rental prices go up with expenses not growing as fast, which is why you want to own a property in a good location. And then when it comes time to sell, the advantage here is, let's say the property value doubles to $300,000. In this instance, you put down $150,000 and you doubled your money, because now you're getting $300,000 when it comes time to sell. Here, you only put in $30,000, and then you're gonna make another $150,000 in profit on the sale price, because you only put down $30,000, and then you make another $150,000 on the appreciation of the property. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey,
Man, this one was a real banger right here. This one was a real banger. I hope y'all paying attention to that one. He gave us the blueprint. That was a whole bunch of good information. Make sure y'all pay attention, man, when y'all watching me, because I'm just trying to help y'all. You know, I don't know a lot of this stuff. That's why I'm watching it. But yeah, man, that was a whole bunch of good information. Hope y'all paying attention. Let's get this money, man. Assets only, no liabilities.